Okay, folks, it is Matthew. We are back, and we're now going to start the final district in Pacific Bay, The Wastes. I want to thank these three for helping me out: Ezra, Paulo, Roberto, and Philip. Frank and ex-wife Karen escaped justice and into the wastes. But before we start, I'm still wearing this thing to honor Samuel King, but there was something else that I think I should probably put on, and that's that helmet, if I can find it. I know I probably should have done this before, but it's okay. Let me see, wait, just a sec. Well, it doesn't look like I can find that thing, so let's get to the case. Into the wastes. Matthew, I've read your report. So Frank and Karen have escaped to the wastes? They've lost their minds. I appreciate your courage in going after them, but this will not be easy. You'll be in more danger than you've ever been before. We understand, Chief, but as hard as it is to think that Frank killed someone, we must bring him to justice. Alright, take a police van with you. It'll enable you to examine clues while sheltered from the elements. You can't afford to come back to the station until this is over. I'll also have a team to pick up any samples you need to send to analysis. You'll be able to phone Jan and the others for results. Good luck, Matthew, and whatever happens over there, stay safe. Now go. There's not a moment to lose. Here we go, as we begin the final district. Well, Matthew, here we are. This place is truly the end of the world. The others didn't exaggerate. I'm glad we have these suits to protect us. The region has been locked down for years. Between the extreme pollution and the vicious sandstorms, only madmen would come here. And I guess that's why it's the perfect place for Frank and Karen to hide. Anyway, you're right. We should start looking for clues. Let's go. I kind of screwed myself up by speeding up those processes, but you know what? Those samples, but you know what? It's alright. It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever happens, happens. See, raccoon, snake. Uh-oh. That looks like David Rosenberg from Innovation Valley. There we go. $15th already. Oh no, Matthew. There's a dead man here. It looks as if he tried to crawl away from that puddle of green liquid seeping from that broken pipe. Oh dear, you're right. We know this man. It's David Rosenberg, the tech genius from Innovation Valley. But the wastes are a lawless, lifeless place. What was David doing here? Matthew, what's going on? First Karen and Frank run away, and then we stumble upon an old acquaintance, dead. This can't be a coincidence, right? I agree, this looks like another murder. Whether Karen or Frank has something to do with it is yet to be determined. You want to start by searching through that trash can? Alright, let's take shelter in the van and... Hey, you two, what are you doing here? There's a sandstorm coming, you fools. Find shelter. Hands up, don't move. Who are you and what are you doing in the wastes? Whoa, cool down. Hey, I know you. You're Commissioner Matthew. You saw the murder of my niece Peggy back in Jazztown. Oh yeah, Andy Pascal. Oh, well sir, we'll need to have a word with you. Now let's must autopsy David. I'm gonna grab a bunch of stars. I'll be right back. Okay, I got a few stars. I got 6 of them. Let's examine the trash can first. Phone. Great job, Matthew. You found a cell phone in this trash can. Let's unlock that phone quick. The longer we take to solve this murder, the less chance we have of finding Frank and Karen. NGR, yep. Oh no, BE6. Got it in time, even with a mistake. Well done, Matthew. You unlocked the phone you found on the crime scene. Hannah's standing by in the lab. Let's send it to her. Three hours. Now let's find out why Andy Pascal's there. What brings you to the waste, Mr. Pascal? Don't you know it's a forbidden area? I'm here to film the nuclear sandstorm, Commissioner Matthew. You must seek shelter now. A nuclear sandstorm? It's as dangerous as it sounds. Is it as dangerous as it sounds? It is. The atmosphere here is full of radioactive particles. If the hurricane-force wind doesn't blow your head off, you'll die of exposure to radiation. Even if what you say is true, I think we're more prepared for such a storm than you are. Ha! If you're talking about the suits, they don't protect you forever. We don't intend to stay long. We're chasing 2 fugitives and trying to solve a murder. Can you help? I haven't seen anyone, but there's an old nuclear testing site deeper in the desert. That's where I look for fugitives. We'll check out this testing site. Storms have never stopped Commissioner Matthew before, no matter how dangerous. I'll see to it that I do everything. Torn pieces. Slide. Flashlight. Hazmat helmet. There we are. Matthew, I'm not sure I believe what Andy said about the radiation risk, but just in case, let's hurry, alright? Everything here is motionless, covered in dust, and dead. The houses, those mannequins, what kind of test could have done this? You found some torn paper? Quick, put it back together. Maybe it'll lead us to Frank, or help us solve David's murder. And you found a hazmat helmet? The wastes are clearly not as abandoned as we thought. Let's retrieve that faded text on the top. I'm gonna grab a few more stars, I'll be back. Okay, I got up to 7 stars. Let's examine the torn image. Of course, if you saw in the last case, we saw the biggest surprise of all. Amy and Russell kissing. I don't know what to say, honestly. Okay. Matthew, the torn paper you found at the nuclear testing site is a photograph of the victim. You're right, it looks like a satellite image. What's going on here, Matthew? Was David so important that somebody spied on him? The corner of the photograph is stained with something. Let's collect a sample. think this is the first coins I got in this case anyway. Okay, let's find out. Let's examine the satellite image. I know personally, like, it would be, like, better to get all the stars, but... There we go. I know personally it would be better to get all the stars just so I don't have to pause, but you know what? I just need enough to get by. Well done, Matthew. You found a sample from the satellite image you found at the nuclear testing site. Let's send the sample to Jan. Between chasing fugitives and escaping radioactive storms, we don't have a minute to lose. Alright, 9 hours. I might speed up the autopsy, but I don't know yet. But let's examine the hazmat helmet now. Jess Prachty. So the hazmat helmet you found at the nuclear test site belongs to a certain Jess Prachty. Hey, you're right. We know a woman called Jess Prachty. We met her in the Rhine Canyon. She's an environmental scientist. She was trying to grow corn in the desert. I wonder what Miss Prachty's doing in the wastes, but if she left her helmet here, she must be nearby. Okay. There's another coins. About her presence in the wastes. Miss Prachty, what brings a biologist to such a lifeless place as the wastes? I'm working on a new science project. The waste is the best place to try out radical new ideas, Commissioner Matthew. It seems very risky. Does the name Rosenberg ring a bell? We're investigating his murder. Rosenberg? Not sure. I work too hard to socialize. What about two fugitives, a man and a woman? They might be dangerous. Have you seen them? Dangerous fugitives? The biggest danger here is the desert itself. The radiation, the storms, they'll probably be dead before you can catch them, Commissioner Matthew. And so will you if you don't go back to the city soon. I'll let at least the phone and the unknown substance run their courses. Victim's body I don't know yet, but we'll see what happens. So for now, this is Matthew. See you in a few hours. Okay folks, it is Matthew. We are back. I'm going to get the results of the phone now. Hannah, we need your results on the cell phone Matthew found on the crime scene. Matthew, the phone received video message. Can see it. What? Hannah, I can't hear half the stuff you're saying. The phone reception's terrible. Matthew, I think she said she'd send us the video message that was recorded on the phone. Let's have a look at it. I had to escape sooner than I'd planned. We won't be able to talk again, but listen, I know you killed David Rosenberg. Rosenberg was a problem, and Meteor Systems is grateful that you dealt with him, but we can't help you anymore. Commissioner Matthews already on your trail. I repeat, your employers at Meteor Systems can't help you now. That was Karen, and she was clearly talking to the person who killed David. Karen knows who the killer is. The problem is we have no way of interrogating her. Hey, you're right. She said the killer's employers at Meteor Systems could not help them. That means the killer works for Meteor Systems. So Karen was useful after all. Let's hope this piece of evidence can help us catch the killer and find out where Karen and Frank have gone. That's clue number 1. I'm still going to let the autopsy run its course, but we'll see if I'll speed it up, maybe get the results by the end of today, but we'll see what happens. So for now, this is Matthew. See you for now. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. Let's get the results of the unknown substance. Jan, be quick. I don't know how long the phones will work. Have you identified the substance Matthew found on the satellite image of the victim? Matthew, substance, DNA, identified, General Freeman. Recognize the name? General Freeman? Yes, we met him in Rhine Canyon. An aggressive bully who thinks the army can get away with anything. It's his DNA on the picture? Photo proof. Freeman. Spy on. David Rosenberg. This case is getting stranger by the minute. Now General Freeman's mixed up in it too. Let's find him, Matthew. A spy on the victim? Commissioner Matthew, you have to evacuate immediately. The wastes are not safe. Thank you for your concern, General Freeman, but we're here on official business. Tell us what you know about David Rosenberg. It's confident. No time for your delaying tactics, General. Commissioner Matthew knows you use satellites to spy on David. We just don't know why. My orders are to protect David. Unfortunately, my mission failed, as you must already know. I arrived in the waste too late to save Rosenberg's life, but I can still save yours, Commissioner Matthew. Leave immediately. You're not safe here. And I'll go ahead and speed this up. Roxy, we need the autopsy results on David Rosenberg. Be quick, the phones only work intermittently. Matthew, green substance that David's body, toxic radioactive compound, killed your victim. David, high dose of radiation, organs, melted down, body glows, dark. David was killed by a radioactive substance. Got it, but how did he end up in a puddle of radioactive waste, Roxy? Found, bruises, head, blunt instrument. David was knocked out. Killer, exposure to toxic material, affected, radiation sickness, nausea, dizziness, symptoms. The killer is suffering from radiation sickness because of their exposure to the toxic material that killed David. I got it, Matthew. Matthew, we're one step closer to catching this killer and getting back on Frank's trail. Let's just hope the radiation doesn't get us too. Matthew, what are we going to do? We'll never find Karen and Frank in this sandstorm. We'll be lucky to survive. And to make matters worse, we have a new murder to solve. So far, we know that David's killer works for Meteor Systems. And all of our suspects are old acquaintances, all urging us to leave the wastes. But can we trust any of them? Let's see. General Freeman claims to have had orders to protect David Rosenberg, but said he arrived too late. And we have Jess Practy, an environmental scientist, says she... Oh, the phone. Who is it? Matthew, listen. Only minute. Talk. Frank? Oh my gosh! Matthew, it's Frank! We'll get to Chapter 2 next time. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. And if you saw in the last chapter, Frank gave us a call. Oh my gosh, Matthew, Frank's calling me. Frank, where are you? You need to surrender, please. No time. Matthew, coordinates, old laboratory. Hurry, you'll understand. Sorry. Frank? Frank! Matthew, he hung up. I can't believe he called us. And it seems like he's trying to help us. He's given us the coordinates of a place. Some old laboratory in the desert. Or could this be a trick? Could Frank be laying a trap for you, Matthew? Summoning you to a secluded place? Tell me he'd never do that. You're right. The only way to discover what lies in wait in that old laboratory is by going there. And I won't let you go alone. Okay, let's see. We have a clock. Tech junk. strange machine. Sixteenth already. Well, I can't see anyone. Can you, Matthew? I guess it wasn't a trick. Frank really thought this place might help our investigation. I wonder what the deal is with that huge machine. All that electricity looks dangerous. Do you think... Commissioner Matthew, I didn't expect to see you here. Eek! You're Alan Muir, the hermit who lives in the forests of White Peaks near my hometown. But how did you end up in the waste, Mr. Muir? Commissioner Matthew will need to talk to you. Strange things are happening, and out-of-town hermits are definitely suspicious. Matthew, also want to rummage through that box of electronics? Good thinking. While the storm is raging outside, we can look for answers in here. And what's this machine? It looks like a cross between a TV and a typewriter. Let's unlock it. Okay. So, Mr. Muir, what made you come to the wastes, all the way from White Peaks? Well, it's going to sound strange, Commissioner Matthew, but I'm here to meet someone. His name is David Rosenberg. What? You know David Rosenberg? But you're a hermit. You live in the woods, and David was an inventor in the city. How did you two ever meet? Well, I've never actually met him, but he sent me a letter. He said he has something very important to tell me and convinced me to come here. David even sent me money for the trip, but when I got here I found no one. I wonder if he perished in that storm. Your story is very hard to believe, Mr. Muir, and David is no longer able to vouch for it. He was murdered. Murdered? So I've traveled to this horrible, sickening place for nothing? I can't stop coughing, Commissioner Matthew. I miss the fresh mountain air. I'm gonna go ahead and change dogs. Examine the tech junk now. Let's see what we got here. Aha! Torn book. Matthew, you found a torn book in the electronics box. What if it's the missing link between this lab and the murder? Quick, piece it back together. Not a problem, Ames. Oh. Sorry guys, something happened here. Just have to... There we go. Sorry about this, guys. Matthew, the book you found in the lab looks like the diary of a madman. Look at all those brains and wires. And there's a photo, too. It looks quite old. That man's probably long dead, whoever he was. Well, Russell is the expert on mad people and their twisted minds. Let's send this to him. $15 hours, okay. But we'll take a break here and we'll see if I can fix this. I don't know why it does this sometimes. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to reboot and it looks like it's gone. Really, I don't know why my computer changes its screen resolution for no apparent reason. Okay, let's see here. RNE, yep. MF, no. WE, yep. GN, no. GY3. Great, you've unlocked the machine you found in the abandoned lab. Hannah will know what it is. Let's send it to her. Made it to level 244. Okay. 6 hours. So I'll let both of these run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you in a few hours. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. We're gonna get the results of the strange machine first. Because that ended first. Hello Hannah. Any news about the machine Matthew found in the abandoned lab? Love, machine, amazing. Matthew, Ken, keep it? Hannah, we have no time for your love affair with retro junk. Tell us what the wretched machine does. Communication, terminal, messages. Last message says, I killed David, save project, Meteor Systems, help me out of here. Hey, wait, you're saying the killer used the machine to send a message to Meteor Systems to tell them about the murder? Yes, and machine needs electricity, portable generator to work. Look for a person generator, Matthew. Killer uses generator. So the killer has a portable generator. Well, electricity isn't going to save them, Matthew. Not with you on their trail.
I'd like to discuss Sergeant Jennings' death.
That investigation is being handled by the Belgravian authorities and the State Department's Regional Security Office. Now, the cause
Get the results of the diary now. Russell, can you hear us? Amy, so glad, safe. Well, we're stuck in a nuclear sandstorm, so I'm not sure about being safe. But tell us about the diary Matthew found in the lab. The diary documents research, training, translating brainwaves. Russell, the line is breaking up. Translating what? Theory, machine, reading minds. Remember Dr. Newman, psychiatrist, brainwashing Ivywood for the Utopians? What? Dr. Newman, the utopian psychiatrist who invented brainwashing? But he's supposed to be in prison.
Anything we can do to assist?
No, in the waste. Matthew, diary, important. Matthew, I can't believe this. Another one of our former suspects is in the wastes. We have to find out how Dr. Newman got mixed up in all this. Let's go.
Currently a graduate student in diplomatic studies at John Hannington. Pale, dull, brainiac. She's a female, you, Timmy.
Minute, folks. Okay, check something out. Let's talk to Dr. Newman. Dr. Newman, we thought you were still in prison for your involvement in the brainwashing in Ivywood. I was released when Meteor Systems appealed to the parole board on my behalf. They even offered me a job. What kind of job? Not another brainwashing project, I hope. Oh no, I'm here to study the legacy of a pioneer inventor from the 1960s called Albert Tesla. He was a genius. I want to adapt his old inventions for modern brain research. This is Tesla's old laboratory, and these are his inventions. Tesla worked here until he vanished one day, without a trace. So in short, you know nothing about two fugitives or the murder of a certain David Rosenberg. Is that it? I'm afraid I don't, but I found my real calling, Commissioner Matthew. Even the radiation sickness is worth it. Matthew, I fear we're not getting any closer to solving David's murder. And what about Frank and Karen? I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever catch them. You're right, Matthew, we shouldn't lose hope. But how can we uncover what's going on in the wastes? You think we should go back to the testing site? Alright, I'm right behind you.
Let's go, Jeff.
One more minute, guys. Okay.
At real time for additional control. Now I know. Double up the fast-acting insulin in a box together.
Sorry for the delay again, guys, but let's get to this.
Prescribe most.
Faded picture, fishbowl, tablet. Matthew, what's that photograph you picked up? Looks like another machine. There's some faded writing under the picture. I hope you can make it legible. And that locked tablet has the Meteor Systems logo on it. Unlock it quickly, Matthew. This is a hot clue. One last moment, guys. Okay, sorry guys. Let's examine the tablet.
What brings you down here other than an uncomfortable stainless steel bed? Jennings? Oh, yes. Pursuant to Director Vance's instructions,
DVD, yep.
with the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology last night, they were going to
872.
the details. My main concern...
General Freeman. Matthew, you've unlocked the tablet you found at the nuclear testing site, and the screen says, last accessed by General Freeman. Hang on, the tablet belongs to Meteor Systems. Why would the Army have access to it? You're right, Matthew, there's something fishy here. Let's quiz the General about this. Got his tablet from Meteor Systems. General Freeman, Commissioner Matthews discovered you accessed one of the Meteor Systems tablets. We know they're involved in David's murder, and now I suspect you're involved too. Ah, well, it's not the first time you've outsmarted me, Commissioner Matthew. I was too ashamed to admit it, but I was discharged from the Army on medical grounds after what happened in Ryan Canyon. The stress affected my memory. I still can't remember how our mission ended. I work in private security now. My new job was to monitor David Rosenberg's movements for his own protection. I was employed by Meteor Systems. But why would Meteor Systems hire an ex-soldier to spy on their own employee? What did David know, and who did he need protection from? I can't help you there, Commissioner Matthew. Fighting is what I used to be good at, but I've just failed at another mission. The waste is like a war zone, Commissioner Matthew. Kill or be killed. I'm already sick from radiation. Gotta get out of here. Take my advice and do the same.
As Katie puts her cell phone down for the first time all week, she realizes that Stover's lasagna is topped with fresh cheese that browns beautifully. Fresh cheese and a touch of aged Parmesan is what gives us...
Don't mess with what you don't understand, David.
When you start with the best blend of cheese, you get the best lasagna.
So the message under that photo you found at the testing site reads, don't mess with what you don't understand, David. Someone threatened our victim, but what does that strange machine have to do with anything? Alright, let's send the photo to Hannah. Let her figure it out. 9 hours. I'll let it run its course for that. See you for then. Okay, folks, it is Matthew. We're back. I'm going to speed this up, even though there's only 47 minutes left of it. I hope the phone lines are still working. Hello, Hannah? Matthew, checked photograph, archives, classified by the Army. But the machine, familiar. Matthew, remember? Weather controlling machine, Jazztown. What? The Jazztown weather machine? I remember. The project was led by Colonel Spangler. But wait, Colonel Spangler's dead. He can't have anything to do with David's death. Colonel dead, but Andy Pascal in the waste weather machine caused Niece's death. Which means that Andy Pascal could have written that threat to David. Thank you, Hannah. We're off to find him. About Andy's threats to the victim. Commissioner Matthew, you're still alive. You're tougher than I thought. Why didn't you tell us you knew the victim, Andy? Commissioner Matthew found your threat to him. I should have remembered. You're always one step ahead of people, Commissioner Matthew. Alright, it's true. I met David as soon as I arrived in the wastes. When I learned he was an inventor, I feared the worst. I didn't want another weather machine to be created. So, you thought David was about to unleash another disaster on the world, and you killed him to prevent it? All I did was warn him. It's inventors like David who turned the waste into a nuclear death trap. Just wait until it kills you too, Commissioner Matthew. Matthew, I have a terrible headache. Do you think it's the radiation? You look worn out too. I agree, we better finish this investigation as fast as possible so we can get back to looking for Frank, and hopefully leave this place. Let's recap. Andy Pascal threatened our victim because he was afraid David might be working on a deadly machine, like the one which killed his niece. Speaking of inventors, Dr. Newman claims to be researching a legendary genius who vanished in the waste several decades ago. We have yet to find out how this fits into the picture. And then there's General Freeman who claims that... Oh, my phone is ringing. Amy speaking, what is it? Guys, huge. I discovered common link. Suspects and your victim, they all work together. What? Holy mother of God. I'll get to chapter 3 next time. Alright folks, it is Matthew. We are back. Let's start chapter 3 of Into the Waste, case number 57. We're coming down to the end of Pacific Bay, and boy has it been a long time that I've been here. Hannah, what is it? Guys, huge. I discovered common link. Suspects and your victim, they all work together. What? Our suspects are working with David? But on what? Not all suspects. Some science research lab. Go find answers. Matthew, we have to go back to the abandoned lab. If David and some of the suspects are working together, this could be the key to his murder. I already see the torn paper, wooden crate, necktie, dragonfly, green flask. Oh, that's a clue also. And parrot. 215,000. Learning the ropes. I wouldn't be too worried. Matthew, this lab must hold the answer to David's murder. After all, some of our suspects are working here with him. I just wonder what they were working on. Could this be linked to the works of Albert Tesla, the inventor Dr. Newman told us about? Good idea. Let's start by searching through that crate. And that green liquid looks like the radioactive substance which killed David. Be careful when you swipe the glass for fingerprints, Matthew. You want to restore that torn paper too? Alright, but be quick. We have so many questions to answer in very little time. Going back to the Dalmatian now. You know, maybe I better do it. Maybe I better cover these now. Find some fingerprints. Perfect. Perfect 9. Great, you managed to list some fingerprints off that glass container. Thank goodness you can access the database from the police van, Matthew. Let's run these prints straight away. And fingerprints. Okay, C. Oh. B. But I still got it. They belong to Jess Practy. Matthew, you've identified the fingerprints on the glass container you found in Tesla's lab, and they belong to Jess Practy. So Jess was working on something that looks exactly like the radioactive material that killed David? She's got some explaining to do. Let's talk to Jess about her fingerprints on the glass container. Careful with that liquid, Commissioner Matthew. It's radioactive. I'm already sick because of it. At least you're not dead, unlike David. We know he was here to work with a team of scientists. Did this team include you, Miss Practy? So you found out. I knew I should have just told you the truth, Commissioner Matthew. David and I were supposed to work together on that project for meteor systems. It's true, but I barely knew him. He was too lazy to show up half the time. What was the project you were working on, Miss Practy? I'm not allowed to disclose any details, but it's groundbreaking. It could change the world. If only David had helped, but he just played with useless gadgets and read tattered diaries all day. I'm not surprised he fell into a puddle of plutonium. It was natural selection. Don't overstay your welcome in the waste, Commissioner Matthew, or it may happen to you, too. We don't care for your threats, Miss Practy. Commissioner Matthew will not leave until David's killer has been put away. There's 3 coins already. Let's investigate the wooden crate. Got it. I think they want to kill me. Matthew, you found a printout in that crate of equipment, but it's just a bunch of squiggles. Oh, you're right. There's a sentence written on it. It says, I think they want to kill me. Do you think this could have been written by David? There's no time to lose guessing. Let's send the printout to Russell. You know, personally, I'm kind of surprised that the way that they made this game, that they were able to at least have some of the main things that were given out to, that they could actually make out some of the main stuff. I mean, of course it's a game, but in real life, you'd be lucky to actually find out something. Find out this or that. Postcard. Matthew, that postcard you restored was addressed to David. It reads, David, stop your experiments now or you'll regret it. And it's signed by Tesla's son. Tesla? As in the inventor Dr. Newman told us about? The one who worked in that lab 60 years ago? I don't get it. Who's Tesla's son? And why did they threaten our victim? Yes, you're right. This postcard was sent from White Peaks. But I don't see how... Wait! The only person here who comes from White Peaks is Alan Muir. You think he could be Tesla's son? I guess there are some similarities, mostly about how crazy they both look. I agree. There's not a second to lose. We need to interrogate Alan again. Brought his postcard to the victim. Mr. Muir, Commissioner Matthew found the postcard you sent to David. Are you really Albert Tesla's son? So you found out the truth, Commissioner Matthew. Yes, I'm Tesla's son. That's why I had to come here and speak to David. So you're the one who wanted to meet with David, not the other way around? But what did he have to do with your father? Commissioner Matthew, everyone thinks my father was a brilliant scientist, but I knew him better than anyone. He was dangerous, crazy, and had no conscience. His experiments drove my mother insane. She died in an asylum because of him. I ran away, changed my name, and joined the army to escape him. Later on, I became a hermit and didn't think of him again. Until I heard that a team of scientists wanted to continue his work. I had to convince them to stop before it was too late. So, you killed David to make sure your father's work was forgotten? I didn't kill anyone, Commissioner Matthew. There's no point. The waste will kill us all sooner or later. My generator's broken down. I won't survive the next storm, unless that army officer lets me use his, but he's not very friendly, so I'm probably doomed. Well, General Freeman's now in the running. I'm going to let the strange printout run its course, but in the meantime, I'm going to get the last 4 stars here. So I'm going to get the remaining stars here. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, it is Matthew. We are back. Just got home from school. Let's get the results of the strange printout from Russell. Russell, can you hear us? Matthew, Amy, alright? Must leave waste. Don't worry about us. Just tell us about this printout Matthew found in the lab so we can wrap up this case. The squiggles, David, brainwaves, experiment, recorded with the machine. The squiggles on this paper are David's brainwaves? What about the sentence, I think they want to kill me? Is that what David thought during the experiment? Should be impossible. Record people's thoughts unless breakthrough, but David felt stress, fear. This Dr. Newman's work. Ask, but be careful. You know, crazy. Dr. Newman experimented on David? We know our suspects worked with David on a secret project. Do you think this could be it, Matthew? I agree. We must talk to Dr. Newman. Let's go.
No wonder Colonel Newman ran his tail. His accomplice had the inside scoop.
Well, the question is, where is he now?
State police says Kern was alone when he jacked that Taurus.
New look, car, traveling companions. It's easy to slip through the perimeter.
Maybe even cross the border.
If he has, those hostages don't have much shelf life.
Dr. Lutz on his cell phone. He received a call from Annie Tesler's cell the morning after the
About his experiments on David's brain.
They've been exchanging calls at regular intervals ever since.
Dr. Newman, when we interrogated you earlier, you failed to mention you had performed experiments on our victim. I didn't think it mattered, Commissioner Matthew. I was testing a thought transmission machine. I built it by adapting an old invention of Albert Tesla. He worked out the basic principle. I just added modern technology. David agreed to be my test subject after I explained to him how safe it was. You're saying he was a willing subject because his thoughts during the process show he was deadly afraid instead. That means nothing. David just said it was nerves. Anyway, my generator failed halfway through the experiment. I asked to borrow Miss Practice's backup generator, but she refused to help. Classic passive aggression. We don't need a mind-reading machine to know that you're crazy, Dr. Newman, but if Commissioner Matthews discovers David was right to be afraid of you, you'll go straight back to prison. Matthew, thanks to you, this whole story is starting to come together. Let's recap what we've learned. An inventor, Albert Tesla, comes to the waste in the 1960s. One day he disappears, leaving behind a lab and some unfinished work. 50 years later, Meteor Systems recruits a team of scientists to pick up Tesla's work where he left off. Tesla's son hears about the project, comes to the waste, and warns David that his father's work was dangerous lunacy. Shortly after David is murdered. Dr. Newman was working on some sort of thought-reading machine, and Jess was studying the same substance which killed David. But how are these experiments linked? David's murder must be connected to their project, but we still don't know what that was, and time is running out. You're right, we need to go back to the crime scene, but we must be careful. Between the nuclear storm and the puddle of radioactive waste, searching it again might prove fatal. Just a minute, guys.
Serving the extradition warrant, which Kern's fighting, naturally.
Okay. Sorry, guys, I had to check something out. But now...
Ms. Michelson? I'm Detective.
Here we go.
Assistant District Attorney.
This day, I want to be in the hospital when my daughter wakes up.
Just a few questions.
Helicopter, chicken, no glasses.
We need to ask you about the time you spent with Kern.
Baseball bat. Whoa, that's a clue. Okay. Recycling symbol and the Z.
In the backseat, he threatened to kill her.
What happened when you got to the farmhouse?
He held the knife to her back, and he led me to the front door.
16th already, great.
And he asked her for directions. When she turned her back, he cut her throat.
Okay.
What about her husband?
Matthew, those glasses you picked up on the crime scene are covered in blood. You're right, they're David's glasses. I hadn't even noticed he wasn't wearing them when we found his body. That's a great catch, Matthew. If we're lucky, this blood will belong to his killer. Quick, collect some. And what about that baseball bat? You're right, there seems to be something on the handle. Let's collect a sample.
Into the house, changed his clothes, and made us get into the farmer's pickup, like nothing had ever happened.
Okay.
He said we were going to Canada, and
Please, tell me.
All right.
he said he was going to kill me and Daddy just like the rest of them. As if the police were so stupid they'd never find us.
There we are. There's blood. Good job, Matthew. Let's send the blood you collected from David's glasses to the lab. I'm sure it'll break the case wide open.
You'll never admit to insanity.
15 hours.
Switching DNA samples from the bunker, but a confession will strengthen our argument against tradition.
Tell the professor someone get along.
There we are. Fibers. Matthew found tiny strands of fiber on the baseball bat's handle. You're right, it looks like someone tried to wipe the handle clean of fingerprints, but they weren't clever enough to outsmart you. Quick, get these fibers to the lab. Nine hours. I'm gonna let both of these run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. See you in a few hours. Morning, folks. It is Matthew. We're back. I got a relief from my class today, so I don't have to go in. Let's get the results of the blood. Jan, did you look at that blood sample Matthew collected from David's glasses? Matthew, you leave. I've just read report. Radiation levels. Dangerous. Oops. We cannot leave this place until we've arrested David's killer. What about the blood, Jan? Asked Roxy. Confirmed. No open wounds. David's body. The blood, not David's, but killer's. Managed to identify blood type A positive. I'm not sure I understood all that, but the killer's blood type seems to be A positive. Matthew, we're this close to catching them. Yes, we are. And the fibers? Jan, what can you tell us about the fibers Matthew collected from the baseball bat they found at the crime scene? Matthew promised me back from the waist. You, toughest cop, but... Jan, you don't understand. Whatever's going on in the waist is much bigger than us. Quick, tell us about the fibers. Fibers, unusual, windproof scarf, but fabric, chemically enhanced, protect from radiation. Look for killer, scarf. So the killer was a scarf. Well, this won't be enough to hide them from your sight, Matthew. Let's go get them. Matthew defeated all the odds that were piled against us and found enough evidence to catch David's killer. Let's go get them. It's one of these three. Definitely not Andy Pascal. It isn't General Freeman. Jess Practy, you're the one. You think that green stain on her coat would be a clue? Jess Practy, Commissioner Matthews arresting you for the murder of David Rosenberg. What? I told you David's death was no one's fault but his own. It was an accident. You're already sick with radiation from contact with the toxic waste you used to kill David. Confess quickly and we'll get you to the hospital before you face your trial. Nice try, but everyone in the waste is suffering from radiation sickness. You'll soon feel it too, Commissioner Matthew, if you don't already. Then tell us about your message to Meteor Systems. Kara Knight thanked you for killing David, but refused to rescue you from the waste, right? Nonsense. I do a very important job in difficult conditions, Commissioner Matthew. I only contacted Miss Knight to let her know how our experiments were going. We found your blood on David's glasses, and you're still wearing the scarf you used to wipe your fingerprints off the baseball bat after you knocked David out with it. Alright, I admit it. I killed David, but I had to before he killed us. As you know, Dr. Newman's working on a machine to read minds. I read David's printouts, and what I saw there terrified me. He was going to kill us to destroy the project. Never heard that excuse before. I doubt the judge will let you off for pleading machine-assisted telepathy. I'm serious. The more David learned about Tesla's work, the more doubts he had about the project. I couldn't let him jeopardize our mission. When I met him near the entrance to the waste, I knocked him out cold, right into that puddle of radioactive waste. I didn't even try to hide my tracks. I didn't think anyone would come to the waste. I certainly didn't count on you, Commissioner Matthew. Miss Prati, you need to tell us everything you know about this project. Karen Knight is a fugitive. If you help us find her, we'll get you a reduced sentence. It's too late for that, Commissioner Matthew. The project is complete, thanks to me. David was the only obstacle in our way. Our work will change the world. Well, your role will soon be limited to a prison cell, Miss Prati. You're under arrest for the murder of David Rosenberg. Jess Prati, you stand trial for the murder of David Rosenberg. It says here you pushed him into a pool of nuclear waste because he tried to sabotage your scientific project. Seems like an extreme form of disciplinary action, Miss Prati. You could have just fired him. You don't understand, Your Honor. It was self-defense. David was going to kill us to stop a project that would save millions of lives. Well, your precious project didn't save David's life. You're sentenced to 30 years in prison. All rise. Nobody can stop the progress of science. This isn't the end. Very soon you'll all see what we've achieved. Well, Matthew, I just had the results from Jess's trial. She was sentenced to 30 years in jail. But even though you found out who killed David Rosenberg, we still have so many questions left to answer. What is that big project Meteor Systems launched in the wastes? This must be why Karen came here. This must be the key to finding them again. And why did Frank help us in our investigation? Was he just trying to atone, or is he not as guilty as we assumed him to be? I agree, Matthew. This is far from the end. No matter the danger we're facing, we cannot leave the waste before we find some answers. We have a long way to go still. Let's take a look at the rest of them. Alan Muir isn't employed by Meteor Systems, and he doesn't wear a scarf. Trevor Newman almost made the cut. He doesn't wear a scarf though. Andy Pascal was cleared from the beginning. General Freeman nearly made the cut. His blood type though is B positive. It was Jess Prati. So for now, I'll see you for the AI. The End, Part 1. Okay folks, it is Matthew and we are back, and we're now going to start the additional investigation of the wastes. The End, Part 1. Only 3 cases to go, counting this one. Matthew, we should warn the station that we're not coming back just yet. I'll call Hannah. Hannah, can you hear us? Much better than before. I managed to improve the phone reception so it can be of more use to you, Matthew. Thanks, it's great to hear entire sentences again. Especially since we're staying in the waste. Matthew solved David's murder, but Karen and Frank are still on the loose. We can't come back until we've caught them. I understand, but look, Matthew, Jan's worried. We all are, really. The radiation levels have been off the charts since you entered the wastes. Then Karen must be behind it. She arrived right before we did, with some plutonium in tow. Jan wants you to send him a sample of your blood, Matthew, so he can check your level of radiation poisoning. Hannah, we don't have blood kits with us. How are we supposed to do that? Matthew, you think we should look at the testing site? I guess it's worth a shot. Hannah will send a sample soon. You're right, Matthew. We must also figure out what Meteor Systems has been working on here. Jess said we would soon see what it was, but maybe we can still stop it, whatever it is. Good idea. We should talk to Alan. If Meteor Systems is reproducing Tesla's inventions, who better to help us than Tesla's own son? Let's go. investigate the testing site first. Crash test dummies. Huh. Aha. Not my best score in this crime scene, but hey, I do what I can. Okay? Is it just me, or has it become hard to breathe? I didn't think the radiation levels would affect us like this. I'm getting a little scared, Matthew. We need to work even faster so we can get out of here soon. Let's have a look at that box of test dummies you found, quickly. Crash test dummies. Aha! Radiation kit. Matthew found a radiation kit under those test dummies. Even when the odds are against us, you still strike gold. Now we'll be able to take a blood sample and send it to Jan so he can test our radiation levels. I guess there's no time to be queasy. Hold out your arm. I'll get some of your blood, Matthew. There. I hope I didn't hurt you, Matthew. Now let's send these blood vials to the lab and hope Jan will have encouraging news for us. I just gotta hold my breath on needles. Okay, let's talk to Alan Muir. Alan, Commissioner Matthew needs to know more about your father's work. If we want to stop meteor systems, we first need to figure out what they're planning. I can't help you. My father kept everything secret. Commissioner Matthews got to figure out what happened to my father after he vanished. I'm sure he's behind all the bad things that have happened around here. What bad things? Are you talking about what's happening in the wastes? No, I'm talking about all the evil that has spread throughout Pacific Bay since 1961, the year my father disappeared. All these murders, all these criminals, can't you see it's unnatural? Some people do terrible things, Alan, but I don't think... Commissioner Matthews, search my father's lab. Find out what happened to him in 1961, and you'll know I'm telling the truth. My mom's birth year. Well, that was odd. Does Alan really think the high crime rate in Pacific Bay is somehow linked to his father's disappearance? I guess you're right. One way or another, finding out what really happened to Albert Tesla might uncover what Meteor Systems is planning. Let's have another look at his lab. Cause my inspiration, Ace Charming. Have fun, Battle Nut. Ward Ribbon. There we go. Not my best score, but it doesn't matter. I'm ending this investigation anyway, so I might as well just get used to it. Nice catch, Matthew. You found a safe in Tesla's lab. Let's unlock it. Great, you got Tesla's safe open. Safe open. There's an old film reel inside. The label is faded, but I know that problem will be easily fixed. I'll get the powder kit out, Matthew. Faded film reel. This must explain what's going on with Yep. Albert Tesla, Experiment 49, 1961. Great, so the label on that film reel says Albert Tesla, Experiment 49, and it's from 1961. You're right, Alan mentioned his father vanished in 1961. This film dates back to the year of Tesla's disappearance. There's nothing to play the film here. Let's send it to Hannah. She'll convert it into a digital format. $6 hours. I'll let these two run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. See you in a few hours. Okay, folks, it is Matthew. We are back. We're now going to get the results of Scientific Movie. Hannah, did you manage to transfer the film Matthew found in Tesla's lab onto a digital medium? Yes, and you won't believe your eyes. I've just sent the video to your phone. Have a look. January 30th, 1961. Albert Tesla speaking. This is my 49th and hopefully my final attempt to upload my mind into the SC, the supercomputer. This will be a huge breakthrough in the world of science. Man and machine will finally be united. The possibilities are endless. The world as we know it will change completely, forever, as long as this works. Did I hear that right, Matthew? Albert Tesla was trying to upload his brain into a computer? It sounds completely bonkers, but you're right. We have seen similar experiments back in Innovation Valley, except Tesla was half a century ahead of the game. Say, Matthew, you don't think that, he vanished that same year without a trace? Maybe he succeeded? Maybe he really did upload his consciousness into a computer. I know it sounds insane, but yes, good idea. Let's talk to Alan about this. Maybe he could help us make sense of it.
I was given warfarin in the hospital, but I wondered if this was the right treatment.
Alan, Commissioner Matthew found footage of your father's experiments dating back to 1961. Did you know that he was trying to upload his mind into a supercomputer? I don't want to talk about his experiments. Science tore our family apart, and it will ruin the world if we don't get it under control. That's what we're trying to do, but if there's anything else you can share with us about your father... I don't know anything about his experiments, and I don't want to. In fact, here, take this money, Commissioner Matthew. I found it in his lab, and if you can use it to destroy his work, then do it.
Seek immediate medical care for some signs of bleeding, like unusual bruising. Eliquis may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain...
I'll speed this up.
Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
Jan, did you get the blood samples Matthew sent you? Do you have good news for us? I'm afraid not, Matthew. Your radiation levels are even... I'm afraid not. Matthew, your radiation levels have been worse than I'd anticipated. Please come back to the station. Leave that place. Now, while it's not too late. Jan, we can't leave Frank and Karen here. We can't leave without knowing what Meteor Systems is planning. But this is suicide, Matthew. I'm sorry I shouldn't shout. I'll try and come up with a cure, something that could extract the radiation from your blood, but I can't guarantee success, and it'll take time. I'm sure you'll make it, Jan. You don't understand. If the cure isn't ready in 3 days, you'll die, Matthew. What do you mean we'll die? This can't be true. I'll work on the cure as fast as I can, Matthew. Matthew, be careful and keep your phone charged at all times in case I need to reach you. I can't believe what Jan told us. Matthew, I don't want to die from radiation poisoning. And yet, you're right. We can't leave this place until our job's done. Oh, Matthew, I hope we'll be all right. I agree. The first thing we need is to make sure our phone stays charged. We need spare batteries. You think Andy might help us? Let's go ask him then.
Friday, Kendra introduces her dad to an old friend.
Ask Andy for help. Andy, Commissioner Matthew needs your help. Do you have batteries you could use? So you're staying in the waste? You're either completely crazy, Commissioner Matthew, or insanely brave. Either way, you can have my batteries. I won't need them anymore. I've got that sandstorm on tape, and I'm leaving before it's too late. Please, take care of yourself, Commissioner Matthew. There's something bad brewing here, and I'm not talking about the storms. Can't you hear the wind trying to warn us? Someone's planning to do something very evil in the heart of the wastes. Here, have the last of my rations, but if you value your life, Commissioner Matthew, you'll leave now while you still can.
It's all nonsense. Yes, if trials were about facts.
This is about convicting one man of homicide.
Don't you wish?
Matthew, I still can't believe what Jan told us. Unless he can make a cure for our radiation poisoning in 3 days, we'll...
Just one Class A felony.
I can't even say the word, Matthew. I'm so scared.
Motion to dismiss.
You're right, we need to pull through. What's going on here is more important than our personal safety. Especially what we discovered about Tesla, as insane as it sounds, is true. After all, we witnessed some incredible things in Innovation Valley. We know what Meteor Systems is capable of. So who knows, maybe Tesla did manage to upload his consciousness into a computer, and Meteor Systems intends to somehow use it. Okay, it still sounds insane, but we must get to the bottom of it. Good idea, we should go back to the crime scene and have another look around. Let's go.
Detective Hawkins' affidavit in support of the warrant, he described the suspect as, and I quote, a 35-year-old black man.
That's absurd. The affidavits were sufficient without that description.
Then why did your detective feel it necessary to include it?
That's a good question. Mr. Bryan, on Tuesday morning, you can present evidence of racial bias in the search and or arrest of Mr. Greer.
And if he's successful?
And just because...
And I suggest the police department hire a damn good civil attorney.
Looking for some particular one. Aha! I'm gonna go with this guy. A personal friend of mine. Aha! Here we are.
We were just following procedure. So prior to interviewing Mr. Greer, he
Torn image. Satellite, hazmat suit. Canteen. Water tower, dynamite. Speed limit, grenade. Perfect.
Yes, but he was the only one. Mr. Greer was the only black man who worked for Mr. Holbrook, isn't that correct? As far as I know. So you figure if you dig deep enough, you're going to find something. That's ridiculous. Oh, you think a man's civil rights are ridiculous? Objection. Withdrawn. No more questions.
Okay. You found some torn paper, Matthew? Well, there's no time to lose. Let's piece it back together.
Yes. I did a search of everyone in Mr. Holbrook's department.
Okay.
And I tried to say before Mr. Greer
Examine the torn image.
the previous arrest. Thank you.
Mr. Bryan?
No more witnesses.
I'm afraid I'm close to meeting your burden. Motion to dismiss is denied.
9. Matthew, you piece together another satellite image, and look, it's the Meteor Systems headquarters. So now we know Meteor Systems has a secret base somewhere in the waste. The only problem is, how can we find it? Good suggestion, Matthew. General Freeman might help. After all, who better than an ex-Army officer when it comes to locating secret bases?
Suffering the indignities of a racist society. Eventually the kettle boils over. The experts call it black rage.
Let's ask General Freeman for help. General Freeman, I'm glad you're still here. Commissioner Matthew needs your help. And why should I help you when you keep disregarding my advice? Because we think we know what Meteor Systems is up to, and we want to stop it. You used to be a soldier. You must understand the importance of keeping the nation safe. We've discovered a satellite picture showing Meteor Systems' secret base, but we need the exact coordinates or we'll never find it. I can show you the way, but I will not enter that base, Commissioner Matthew. I should have never agreed to work for Meteor Systems in the first place. These people are evil. Which is why we want to stop them, General. Commissioner Matthew, you keep making your country proud. I'll show you where the headquarters are, but first take these clothes. If you're going up against Meteor Systems, you'll need all the protection you can get.
So you found it necessary to emulate them?
That's a bit of a simplification, Doctor, don't you think?
Why don't you...
Since I don't even have a helmet with me, I might as well just go on. There it is, the Meteor Systems headquarters. Matthew, General Freeman didn't lie. We found it. How good of you to have come, Commissioner Matthew. We've been expecting you. Hello. Karen? Don't even think about raising that gun, little girl. Commissioner Matthew, come quietly. You're our prisoners now. Oh boy.
It's okay if he's lazy and unprepared. We'll take care of him. You want the short course in the history of race relations in America? It all starts with white men trying to protect white women from the big, bad, black man. There was a prime argument in favor of segregation, and it's what made lynching an honorable diversion.
We've come a long way since then.
Alright. I'm done with case 57. Now let's get to case 58. Only 2 more to go, and then I'm done with Pacific Bay. And then I can go on to the World Edition. So we'll see you for case number 58. So for now, this is Matthew. See you next time.